All right, welcome. We back again with another one of our friends, our brothers from Do What You Want to Do podcast. We got Country Tone over here, aka look, Michael B. Jordan look-alike.
Better than that, nigga. I do.
So we got Tone here, and as you know, all week, all month, we got 5 full weeks of supporting our men and men's mental health. And so we wanted to get him real quick, because another busy man, ask him a couple of questions, surrounding mental health and working with children in that capacity. Good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's get it. In your experience working with children, how have you seen the unspoken or unresolved mental health struggles of fathers or male role models show up in the behavior or emotional needs of those children?
A lot of different ways, honestly, because surprisingly, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, you will be surprised how much the fathers are actually trying to be involved and stuff like that, but it's a lot of disconnect with the mothers and stuff like that, and a lot of crazy situations for the kids have to go through and shit like that. So, stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm used to being on myself.
Same.
Okay. I thought so.
We talk how we talk.
But things like that that's what affects them mostly, because you'll have situations where the father wants to be present, but they don't have the knowledge or the resources to, and a lot of times that's held against them and shit like that. So I feel like them having a relationship, like emotionally and stuff like that with the child, kind of has a disconnect because of the lack of the other things. They can only do but so much.
And they navigating the court systems and all of that, trying to get in, when they can. And
then you have frustrations with the mother and everything. I mean, you try not to give the kid that, but sometimes it happens due to the situation.
Right. Now, how do you see that play out in the children? Like, how does it affect their behavior?
Normally it's bad.
Yeah,
normally it's bad because the lack of discipline and the lack of both parents being there, and then they get the energy of the situation as well. So,
and that's why it's very important to keep adult stuff with the adults and away from the children,
because
it's
hard, because it's like you'll have situations too, like where a family may be living in a hotel room.
Right.
How can you keep the conversation private if everybody in the same space?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
By default, they see a lot more than they should, just due to the circumstances.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Kind of like the catch-22 in it.
Right.
It's always going to be
keeping them in the mix, not even really trying to.
It's almost like a revolving door almost.
Right.
You have opportunities to where you can get out, but you have to utilize your resources.
Yeah, that's a fact, and it's knowing those resources are there. Anybody I talk to, I try to always send them to 211. Listen, call 211. It's there. They're going to give you 3. Tell them what you need. They're going to give you 3 resources for whatever you need.
Right.
So that's something important that a lot of people don't even know about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, so next question. Why do you think so many men, especially fathers or caregivers, struggle to talk about what they're going through emotionally? And how does that silence affect the emotional development of the children around them?
That's a great question. First part of the question is because
probably need you to speak up just a little tad.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He put his Michael B. Jordan voice.
Yes.
I know, right? I don't want to be. I'm either all the way or not at all.
You can be all the way.
But, first part of your question, because a lot of times men don't have the don't have the jurisdiction to express what they're going through, because it's like if they express it, they're looked at as weak at some point.
So no safe space.
Yeah, they don't have safe. We had that conversation before. Men don't have too many safe spaces at all because of what they're supposed to be doing, which is providing and doing what setting foundation and all of that like that. But you said how that affects the kids with the second part, right?
Yes. How does that affect the emotional development of the children around them?
Because being that the men aren't able to express themselves in a healthy manner, low key is programmed to express it in an unhealthy manner. So because of that, they'll treat the kids or try to teach them in a way that'll be unhealthy.
Right.
Not knowing how to acknowledge with different emotional traumas and all that type of stuff like that. So I feel like that's how it'll affect that.
And not having the right coping mechanisms.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's important.
Definitely. Because coping, highlight on the right ones.
The right ones, because there's a lot of coping mechanisms.
A lot. And people often fall into the wrong ones.
Exactly.
But coping mechanisms sometimes, in my opinion, is supposed to be also, to a certain extent, used to like help you get through it as well. It's not like you're just completely like putting it away.
Right.
The coping mechanism is still identified in some light or some capacity, to where it's like you can still get through it.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
But people use coping for like numbing out completely.
Right, and that's the problem. Just like you were just talking about on y'all's podcast, they use it to avoid accountability, avoid facing themselves, and that's something that's very important. Because that is
the hardest thing. I understand why people struggle with it. That is the hardest thing to do, to acknowledge the shit you do, or to hinder yourself. Like, that's the hardest thing to acknowledge, because it's like you have nobody to blame or point the finger at. It's all you. So so when you get that gift, or when you do that, I feel like that's good. Like it's healthier for you to be able to express things and how you feel and shit like that. So.
That's a fact. Okay, last question, because I know we on your time. If you could speak directly to a man who's silently carrying the weight of his mental health while trying to raise or support a child, what would you want him to hear or know right now?
That's a great question.
It's powerful. If you could speak directly to a man who's silently carrying the weight of his mental health while trying to raise or support kids, what would you tell him?
Find the healthiest way. Find the healthiest way to express what you're going through. And do it to where you can teach the child, but they don't get any of the heaviness of the circumstances. But they can still learn from it. But they still like gain that understanding, but not through experience. But through like, I guess, what would you call it? I guess like you seeing it, but you're not experiencing it.
Right. People say that experience is the best teacher.
It is.
I always say guided experience is the best teacher, because you could keep bumping your head all day. You just gonna bump your head and be bloody. But if you have somebody like me that'll say, hey, don't go that way, go this way. So now you got that guided experience. You're not bumping your head. You know how to navigate through that maze. And I think that's important, that we continue to support our men and make sure that once we find out resources, that we put you in contact with the resources. Because if you don't, in our society, men have been taught, you don't cry, you don't do that, that's weak, and that's a lie.
It is not. I'm not gonna lie, like in today's time, I feel like we're getting back to the understanding. Like a lot of men are getting back to the understanding of like the power of like we have to acknowledge what we go through, especially like black men together. You feel me? Because like me and my partners talk about it all the time, like just checking in on each other, making sure each other straight mentally, all that. Because at the end of the day, we're the only ones that know exactly what we're going through all the time. So it's like, we love the support and everything from the black women and everything like that, but we still have to get
the brothers.
Like, hey man, we gotta check in with each other at the end of the day, and like it ain't nothing. Like, you feel me? I feel like anybody who feels like that's some weak shit or something like that, like that's one of them people who don't want to
running away.
Exactly. So,
and we talk a lot about community on our podcast, and that's important for men. To have community, to have men, cause see, niggas talk to niggas. You know what I'm saying? But men, it historically, it's been the men that talk to each other, that hold other men accountable, that shape other men. And I think it's a lot of isolationism, you know what I'm saying, and buying into the these images and stuff, and the machismo, and so men don't talk about it. But it's important, because I'm afraid of a man that can't cry, because those emotions are going to explode at some point. You know what I mean? We see a lot of people unaliving themselves and they woman and whatever, and those are people that couldn't express themselves to anyone.
Because plus, people, I feel like everybody expresses themselves in what they deem to be the right way at the time, like ignorantly or not. Like they feel like in that time, all right, this is the way I should express this, whether it's anger, frustration, whatever it is. Like, and I feel like that's where we got to understand, like, and that goes back to controlling, knowing yourself and controlling your emotions.
So last question for you: what does strength in silence mean to you?
Understanding, like gain understanding, like strength in silence. Because I feel like when you're silent, I mean, you're learning. You're listening. In my opinion, like, you're not talking, you're listening. And you know, listen and silence have spelled the same letters.
Ooh.
Put you up in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I feel like when you're silent, that feel like that's you're listening. Because when you're talking, you can't listen and talk at the same time. Silence is gaining understanding.
Gaining understanding. I like that.
So can I just ask you real quick? So since you worked with kids and like, you know, mental disorders, as a father, male figure, brother, uncle, cousin, what is some resource or advice you can give for that male figure in that little boy's life that you can say, like, to notice either like a trigger or a resource? Like, you've worked in it, you've seen, like, you know, like the common denominator with the little boys. Like, what's something you can give advice for a male to say, this is where I need to start? Like, where do you start? What do you notice?
And I hope this can answer the question properly, but with me, I feel like I always find myself in it.
Yeah.
That's how I always see it. Like, I struggle with, when I was young, and I struggled with all type, and my mental was always like, I can share a quick story. I know we gotta go.
No. Good.
But it's something I lived by. I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and a dude came to the school and everything like that, and he was like a motivational speaker or whatever. But he had a trivia question for everybody, and he said, you get an answer right, you get a prize or whatever. The question was, a rooster sitting on top of a house or a barn or whatever, and it lays an egg. What side of the house does the egg lay on, right? And I'm probably like 6 or 7 years old, but I'm country. So first thing on my mind, I'm like, Rooster don't lay no egg.
Right.
So but I'm looking at everybody, they screaming all these different answers. I'm looking around, I'm thinking to myself, I'm tripping. Like, I know Rooster don't lay no egg. You know, and I'm looking at him, and he's letting people call off answers. He let it go about a minute or so. So no, everybody's wrong. A rooster don't lay eggs. That crushed me as a kid. I said, damn, I knew that answer. And I let everybody else around me influence my thought process. Right. I'm like, man, am I tripping? I started doubting myself when I knew. And from then on, it's since a youngin'. So anytime I see a jit going through something, I see where you can be struggling at because nobody else probably understands you. So I always try to find out what it is in that jit. Like, all right, like talk to me. And every time, if they just want to have somebody listening to them,
right, want to be heard,
they want to have something relatable. And I always have a story where I've been through the same thing, because I mean it's common. Situations, circumstances just look different, but everything is common, you know.
Finding yourself in them.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, because honestly, I think everyone that you come into contact with is a reflection in some way.
That's fact.
And so that's what I do as well. Try to find myself, and try to be what I needed at that point in my life.
That's a fact.
Because I think, like you were talking about, our path is our path, and as long as you put one foot in front of the other, God is going to lead you where you need to go and to the people that you need to touch. You know what I'm saying? So as long as you walking, that's the faith right there. You don't have to see how it's going to turn out.
That's a fact.
But along the way, you were sent for somebody, and somebody was sent for you. So you paying it forward by working with the children or seeing things in the children, and then somebody's going to come along to feed you as well. And I think that's the strength as well.
Definitely.
And I thank you for joining us.
No problem.
In this series, supporting men's mental health. You know, you are brother.
Appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? And
got to sit down with the Nickies.
Yes, the Nickies. So we appreciate you. Hopefully you'll come to the kickback.
Definitely. I'm going to hang out.
All right.
Sure.
Peace.
Say it.